Good morning, SKN. I'm Cortensia Carty.
And I'm Karina Gyanchandani, your guest host again today.
Yes, and it is a new month.
It is a new month. Happy November.
Happy November. Happy Turkey Month. As I was saying, I wore my turkey brooch, but she lost some tail.
That's okay.
So I'm representing.
She came to play today.
Indeed, she did.
All right. Well, this morning we'll start off in the latest in local news. From WIN Media, the Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, met with officials of MSR Media on Sunday, October 30th, to discuss film production that has been taking place in the Federation over the past year. MSR was represented by director Philippe Martinez and actress Elizabeth Hurley. According to Prime Minister Drew, quote, Mr. Martinez credited nationals who have been employed with their production team in filming. He applauded the newly created Ministry of Creative Economy, which he said he will rely on going forward in terms of policy directives with respect to collaborating with his production team and the talent pool in the Federation, end quote. MSR Media has recently completed filming Christmas in the Caribbean, a romantic movie shot in St. Kitts. It was written by Nathalie Cox and Philippe Martinez. Starring in the film are Carolyn Quentin, Eduardo Costa, Nathalie Cox, and Elizabeth Hurley. According to MSR's website, the company produced 6 films during the first 18 months of its establishment in St. Kitts and Nevis, thus becoming the pioneer and leader of the country's film industry. Very exciting stuff.
Yes, indeed. Great things for our countries. So we know we are on the up and up.
Oh yes, big films.
Nice. We continue now. Local companies across multiple industries sponsor Sugar Mass 51. This from WIN Media. On Friday, October the 28th, 2022, Gold sponsor Carib Brewery St. Kitts and Nevis Limited, represented by Andre Emmerich and AJ Dublin, handed over a check of EC $35,000 to the chair of the National Carnival Committee, Ms. Shannon Hawley. In response, the National Carnival Committee said, and quote, Carib has been an integral part of a carnival for many years, and their annual injection spans several decades and has expanded to all private events held during the annual celebrations. Carib continues to be a leader in corporate social responsibility in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. The company's support for youth and the various communities in sporting, educational, and cultural activities is unmatched and unwavering. Meanwhile, platinum sponsors Azul Printers, represented by Jiron Joseph and Oral Roberts, handed over a check for EC $50,000 to the Carnival Committee. Sugar Mass returns to its full format this year under the theme Celebrate Mass as one for Sugar Mass 51. The marquee events of the Carnival celebrations will be staged between December the 2nd, 2022 to January 3rd, 2023. So the biggest party is back on.
Oh yes, after gosh knows how long.
2 years?
Yep, 2 years.
I'm sure everybody's excited.
We're ready for Sugar Mass 51.
Indeed.
Continuing the news from SKNIS, the contributions of retired nurses who continue to play active roles in the effective delivery of healthcare services in St. Kitts and Nevis were highlighted and applauded by Prime Minister and the Minister of Health, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, on Sunday, October 30th, 2022. The Prime Minister was speaking at a special service held at the Pentecostal Church of God in Bastyr in recognition of the 10th anniversary of the Retired Energetic Nurses Touching All Lives Rental Association. Prime Minister Dr. Drew said, quote, the numerous stories and experiences you have accumulated throughout your careers, the lives you have saved, and the countless lives you have positively impacted through your selfless sacrifice will serve to inform and inspire, end quote. Dr. Drew added, the reality is that being a nurse calls for tremendous sacrifice. You sacrifice time with your family and loved ones, and you sacrifice your own lives. This is more evident than ever with the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic and the commitment and sacrifice that was required to ensure the safety of our nation. The association's 10th anniversary is being observed under the theme 10 years together, still making a difference. Very much so.
It went well. Now, for your local weather, it's partly cloudy with a 60% or a moderate chance of showers. There is a high of 82 and a low of 72 degrees of Fahrenheit. It is 83 degrees Fahrenheit at this time. Take a look at your hourly and weekly weather and stay tuned. Regional and international news after this. Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. We now continue with the latest in regional news. This from Loop Caribbean. Motorists in St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be paying much less for fuel from Monday the 31st of October as Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves announced price reductions as part of an effort to reduce the cost of living. At an Independence Day address on Thursday, Gonsalves said gasoline at the pumps will be reduced by EC $2.10 per gallon and diesel by $1 EC per gallon. Additionally, subsidies and tax waivers will be placed on commodities such as brown sugar, flour, fertilizer, and cement to reduce the cost to consumers. On November the 14th, the duty-free concession on Christmas barrels will start. The Prime Minister said, as the nation moves forward from challenges posed by the coronavirus pandemic and volcanic eruptions, there is a need to improve the lives of residents. To that end, a wages council will be established by the government to review minimum wages and recommend an increase which will take effect in 2023. Yeah, the cost of living,
it's gone up, but there'll be duty-free concessions on Christmas barrels, which is very important.
Ours actually start today.
Good news.
Yeah, it's great news.
The latest in international news, growth in carbon projects this year is dramatic, showing global determination to cut emissions. This from the Good News Network. The number of carbon capture and storage projects in the pipeline is exploding, thanks to worldwide efforts to cut emissions. A new report from the Global CCS Institute, which studies carbon capture and storage, shows impressive growth of 44% over the past 12 months. The CEO of climate change think tank, Gerard Daniels, believes the outlook for climate action has never been more positive. The record high total comes from 196 commercial CCS facilities in the project pipeline, including 30 in operation, 11 under construction, and 153 in development. With 61 new facilities added to the project pipeline in 2022 alone, the CO2 capture capacity of all facilities under development has grown to 244 million tons per annum, an increase from 169 last year. Carbon capture and storage is used to filter emissions from power generators, steel mills, cement plants, and other industrial sites, and then bury the sequestered carbon underground.
Yeah, and we know the students that went to Switzerland.
Correct.
Yeah, they were doing carbon capture
Correct,
as well.
correct.
Big things.
Very big things in the pipeline.
Yes.
Well, there you have it. We do have two distinguished guests today, Dr. Valda Henry from the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, and we have the Honorable Phipps, Minister Phipps from the Ministry of Education. Iselene Phillip.
Yeah.
Correct. That's the latest for today.
What will it take to grab the attention of someone with the power to make your dream come true? 7 hopeful entrepreneurs in search of the finances necessary to take their ideas to the next level.
This is their lives, right? This is their business.
4 savvy business owners ready to make a pragmatic investment.
You can't help people if you can't help yourself. First you make the dollar and you give the dollar.
Why you take your business offline?
I really feel that you need to do a little bit more research.
Very knowledgeable. Super knowledgeable.
You have a great idea and a great concept. I think you'd be snapped up by Disney.
If you have a job someplace, it means that if something is not working, you can walk away.
Who will invest?
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Thank you.
And who will be sent home with nothing? I am your host, Kevin Hope.
Dreamy Decor specializes in flowers for all events, from birthdays to weddings and any other special occasion. What's a better way to express to the people you love than by providing the finest selection of beautiful flowers and gifts? So when you think of flowers, think of us, Dreamy Decor.
These teen boys nowadays get me so upset. I see these teen girls with their big bellies and you want to tell me y'all couldn't protect her and yourself? Come on. Now don't tell me no stupidness about you feel embarrassed about getting a pack of condoms or asking somebody for one. That ain't nothing to be ashamed about. You should be proud that you are making a wise decision, but you still have to abstain from having sex with someone under the age of consent. If your boys are pressuring you to have sex and you don't want to, then don't. You are in charge of your life, not them. I heard another one saying it's sweeter without a condom. But my granny always told me, no glove, no love. So let me tell you something. It's sweeter to have money in your pockets and not have to support a child at that young age. Before I say anything else, the best way to prevent teenage pregnancy is to abstain. In other words, no do it. Let me talk to the big men troubling underage girls.
Why you sleeping with your daughter? You not live clean. Your girl at 16, and your daughter at 13. So girl a look me, but me no inna that. Big man no deal with back pamba.
You understand where I'm coming from, right?
This message was brought to you by Project Viola through the Department of Gender Affairs with support from the Basic Needs Trust Fund and the Caribbean Development Bank.
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
When growing your savings, where you save matters more than you think. Dare to compare and see for yourself why you should start saving and investing at First Federal Credit Union. You don't have to settle for cents. Let your money make sense. Reap a higher return by stashing your cash in a high-yield savings account or term deposit and earn up to 4% interest on your money. At First Federal, we say yes.
Good morning, SKN. This is Lyrical. I just want to say blessings to you. There are a happy place in the life if you live in there. A happy place in the life if you live in there. Cause them at a happy place in the life. And they can't change. And they just come out here to do right. So whether day or night, they will never ever change. Blessings, blessings, and blessings.
Yeah.
An exotic experience.
Oh, come in!
Yo, what up? It's your boy and Richie right here at Studio 327. I'm here to give you the promo that you guys need because this is something special for St. Kitts. I'm telling you, tune in to Good Morning SKN, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and on Moment Channel 4. Also, I realize nobody else is doing this. Follow the Good Morning SKN Instagram at Good Morning SKN and the Studio 327 Inc. Instagram. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook. This is pretty long, but follow us and yeah.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. We forgot earlier to mention that Jamie's a bit under the weather, hence our guest host Karina filling him for him. So Jamie, continue to get well and we hope to see you soon. This morning we welcome the Honorable Iseline Phillip, Junior Minister in the Ministry of Social Development, Youth Empowerment, Gender Affairs, Aging and Disabilities to speak with us about CEDAW, the Convention on the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. Minister Phillip is an expert in gender affairs and social justice and has worked with the government to implement projects and programs that help improve social well-being and the protection of human rights. We are grateful for her participation in CEDAW and look forward to her enlightening us on this. Minister Phillip, welcome back to Good Morning SKN. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Welcome.
Always a pleasure to be here.
I know, she's becoming a celebrity. So how has the last few months been for you?
The last few months have been pretty interesting. You know, I'm on the job, learning on the job as I go, but, you know, it's actually been very overwhelming with just the supports and encouragement. I think, you know, it's... people have been very gracious and very patient, and I've also been patient, you know, just kind of being new to the government system of things, but I am feeling ever more confident as I go from day to day, and I think, you know, there's definitely a lot of work to be done, but I'm not intimidated by the work to be done because I think it's all possible. There's a lot of hope, I believe.
I like the spunk, I like the brightness, and a little birdie told me that they miss you, but I'll tell you who the birdie is.
That's very exciting to hear. So I think one of the big questions is, what is CEDAW, both in terms of the convention and the treaty itself?
Yeah, so, you know, as you mentioned, so CEDAW is the convention, so it's a UN convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. And so it's essentially, it's like an international Bill of Rights. And that we had, it was passed in the UN General Assembly. And the objective was essentially to implement some obligations for state parties who decide to sign on to say that they're committed to eliminating all forms of discrimination against women and protecting women as identifying these freedoms as human rights. And so essentially the convention, then there's a committee that was formed. So there's a committee on the convention of the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. And this committee essentially is manned with the objective of kind of looking at state parties and holding the state parties accountable to these obligations that they've signed on to. And so it sets an agenda for national actions to implement different measures to see how we can eliminate institutional, structural, cultural, socioeconomic barriers that would potentially be preventing women from participating equally or being protected from any form of discrimination in society.
Good stuff. So how often does these reviews happen?
Oh, so the reviews actually happen annually. So they're periodic reports that parties are supposed to submit. So obviously it's a UN convention, so it's like global. But when it comes to St. Kitts and Nevis, we actually ratified the CEDAW Convention in 1985. However, we've only submitted 2 reports, which is a bit shameful for us. But the first report was submitted in 2002, and then the second was actually just recently when I had recently traveled to Switzerland to actually deliver the report and have, I guess it was questions and kind of with the committee. So typically what happens, it's, a UN forum and the committee members just kind of ask a series of questions based on the submitted report. And so with that, there are 30 articles in the convention that speak to different things. So it can speak to access to justice, the treatment of women when it comes to healthcare, employment opportunities, stereotypes, gender-based violence. So there's a series of things that these articles speak to. And so committee members essentially ask questions around what is the state doing to address all of these things in these areas? So they're pretty much just checking in to see, well, what are we doing? And then they also offer a number of recommendations as to how we can do better and improve our outcomes when it comes to the different areas, whether that's access to justice, law reform, reproductive health rights, and any kind of, institutional structural issues that we may have, whether that's programming. And so that was a very interesting experience for me, but that's essentially kind of the framework.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of you yourself, I think you just spoke about how great of an experience it was, but it was your first year attending, correct?
Yes, it was.
So in terms of how you felt in being around so many like-minded individuals that had very similar agendas, what was that like for you?
That was actually very rewarding for me. So, my background is in women and gender studies. That's what I did my master's in policy development. So this was definitely a space, actually being in a room with experts and people with technical expertise and understanding in the area of women and social development was actually very edifying for me. And just to be able to have like-minded discussions with people who understand the issues, because there were also representatives from other Caribbean islands, so they were able to contextualize and relate in a way so they would understand some of the challenges that we'd have contextually and frame their questions around that. So they're also very understanding, and recommendations were noted in areas that we could do better. But I it made me feel good to know. It was very reinforcing and reaffirming in a lot of ways, but it's also a reiteration of how much work there is still to be done.
Right.
Being on a big forum such as that, did you in any way feel intimidated, or you were ready for the show?
Well, personally, not so much.
Okay,
I've been in international forums previously before. I've participated in Model United Nations when I was in university, so I had an idea of just what to expect, just structurally in that kind of regard, even though I was also still kind of not sure what to expect. But I wasn't uncomfortable at all, and I had really good support. So a staff person, Mrs. Warner, was with me from the department, and she had a wealth of knowledge. So I was able, so there wasn't a question where I was like, oh, I felt like I was just hanging alone. So, and we also had persons who were joined virtually from the department. So the permanent secretary would have been there, and director of policy planning, and the director of the department. So we were always in contact. Thank you to internet and Wi-Fi and just technology. So I was able to have that support, which I was grateful for, because it really aided in my ability to respond to the questions.
Okay. Well, we have so much more to speak with the Honorable Minister about. So we recommend that you stay tuned. Much more after this short break.
Consuming excess salt can lead to heart attack, high blood pressure, and even stroke, and other health-related conditions such as kidney disease.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. We now continue with the Honorable Philip, here to talk about the CEDAW convention that she attended. Minister Philip, we recently talked about just what that experience was like for you, and a few of the policies that were spoken about during the convention. For you on your end, what makes you excited about your current position and future involvement with CEDAW?
So what makes me excited is just the fact that, I am the Minister of Social Development and Gender Affairs, which, allows me a position to influence the direction and trajectory when it comes to actually implementing some measures and doing programming and policies and laws that actually help to push and advance the agenda of eliminating all forms of discrimination against women. So I would have never expected to be in this position, but I'm here now, and so I'm actually very excited for the opportunity to have that level of influence. And so I look forward to, being able to work towards executing my vision for St. Kitts and Nevis when it comes to, women's participation in leadership in public and political life, when it comes to affording women social protection and, reducing and eliminating, gender-based violence and shifting culture and changing stereotypes when it comes to notions of toxic masculinity. And so, all of these things, I as part of my vision for, a better St. Kitts and Nevis and for our progress and advancement. And I'm, excited and eager to be in a position where I'm able to connect with like-minded individuals at an international level who have experience in these things and who are able to offer recommendations and encouragement and support. And then to be able to also return to the Federation to the support of a prime minister and a cabinet who also share that vision, and also with a department that's willing to do the work and has been, doing their best with the resources that they have had to execute and to make improvements and advancements. So, I'm just kind of looking for opportunities to see where we can do better and see what we need to be able to do better, and, see how we can shift the narrative and shift the culture. And I know that's one of the hardest things to change. Culture is one of the hardest things to shift, and so it takes time. But, I'm willing to contribute where I can, and my hope is that if my tenure is just 5 years, that at least at the end of that, I'll be able to say, okay, so at least we moved the gamut from here to here, and that's one step forward. And, I'll be happy with that.
Well, we're going to root for 10. So one of the talking points was the Rural Women's Development Program. Yes. What does this mean?
So one of the areas for the CEDAW convention is they do ask looking at rural women and their involvement in social life. So because they call them rural women, just persons who live in non-urban areas. Yes. And so in the context of St. Kitts and Nevis, we want to think, when we think about rural women's development, we actually like to think a lot more about how we can get more women involved in things like agriculture, especially as entrepreneurs in that area, in that regard. And so because we're talking about agriculture, that's just an area for interministerial collaboration and partnership. We also think about making sure that women who live in rural areas have access to resources, have access to things like healthcare, have access to education, have access to financing, so that we ensure that they are not prevented from being able to uplift and empower themselves just because of where they live geographically. And so when we think about that, again, in the context of St. Kitts and Nevis, it's like, how do we get more women into, employable spaces like agriculture? We see more agriculture than in rural areas because that's where the land is. Making sure that, they do have access to health institutions, reproductive health care, financing, and so that they're just not forgotten, that we don't focus on just, urban development and women who live in, Bastia or those, suburban areas.
I have a follow-up question. Have you started any programs for the rural women as yet?
Specifically from the Department of Gender Affairs, not specifically for rural women. Okay. However, we do know that and support and have had connections and collaborations with organizations that do cater to rural women. So on the agricultural front, so we know that there's an organization in St. Paul's called Capistia Women, and they do focus on, women farming, as well as just kind of women's upliftment and empowerment programs. So they have a nice little network there. And I know recently Helen's Daughters, which is a regional agricultural organization, launched a St. Kitts and Nevis chapter. And that also is a women-focused, women-centered farming initiative program. And these are things that are just kind of endorsed by the Department of Gender Affairs. And so in terms of our own work, we do ensure that we provide access. So we have satellite offices for social services to make sure that we have available offices for people located in the rural areas so that they're able to access social services if they need. And so that's kind of what we're doing in that regard.
Okay.
Very exciting. Are there current discussions to legislate the inclusion of adequate representation of women in government and politics as some of our country counterparts have done?
Okay, so this is a good question. Are there discussions? So there are no outright objections to implementing, this is what we'd call something like a temporary special measures. And this was something that did come up at the CEDAW convention in the committee, and that's something that they were encouraging St. Kitts and Nevis to do. So currently we don't have a real definitive plan to implement things like quotas and legislate that. However, that doesn't mean that it's not up for discussion. I think we do have a prime minister who has on multiple occasions expressed his desire to see greater equity when it comes to women's involvement in political life and women's involvement in leadership, them being on boards as CEOs, and in that respect. And so the political will is there. And, I think it has been demonstrated with the Prime Minister's selection of persons in cabinet, and even we see statutory board membership. In a way, you can even see there are more women than men in some of these boards. And so the political will is there. So I wouldn't say that the discussion is off the table. It just has not been had in any great detail at this point in time.
How important do you think it is that women be included in policies and decision-making in government?
Oh, I think it's absolutely integral. I think, having women included in these discussions, women represent, almost, 50%, or even in some instances more than 50% of populations, depending on the jurisdiction. And so you cannot have discussions about policy development, about, plans for development or sustainability without having that representation. It just doesn't make sense. And similarly, when, since I am the Minister of Youth, I make that plug for youth as well. You have to have these people at the table because, if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu, as, we like to say. And so it is absolutely important. And I think too, particularly for women, because, we have a perspective that naturally men don't have. We have to acknowledge, so in my, I always advocate for equity because I recognize that, males and females, we are equal in value, but we're not equal in function and ability. It's just, that's just a biological fact. And so, things that, I think so we always need balance. I believe we always need balance in terms of, the male and female perspective, as in, masculine and feminine energies, because that's just the way the world is. And so I think it is absolutely important to have women at the table and different women from different demographics, because, we women experience the world differently as well. So it's absolutely important, and we have to be at the table. So I advocate for that always.
Certainly. And as a follow-up to your question, in terms of the actual training and policies being put in place to eliminate the discrimination within St. Kitts and Nevis, what does that look like, I guess, currently and then moving forward?
Okay, so it's a good question. So, so currently we know, so there are some glaring things that we have to address in St. Kitts and Nevis. Gender-based violence is a real problem. It's not talked about enough, but it happens all the time, every day. The way we deal with it is, we need to take a much stronger stance in terms of how we respond to reports of domestic violence and abuse. We need to, the way that we adjudicate and kind of respond to these issues, and even just public education. Public education for just individuals to understand that it's not okay to be in, violent relationships, that it's not okay to be violent. That education needs to be ongoing. That's a major, major aspect and a piece of shifting the culture. And so in relation to that, most immediately, especially since most recently we would have had 2 unfortunate deaths as a result of domestic violence, where an alleged perpetrator would have lost his life and an actual victim of abuse would have lost her life, one in St. Kitts and one in Nevis. And so with that, we're expecting, on Friday is the next Parliament sitting, and domestic violence legislation is actually up for some amendments. So we're actually looking at the legislation that we have around domestic violence and seeing where we can strengthen that legislation to ensure that the access to justice for victims of abuse are able to access justice, to file for protection orders a lot more easily, as well as just kind of in this initial amendment, we're amending some definitions so that it's a bit broader. And so the definition of things like economic abuse is a bit broader, so that we recognize, the different types of abuse that can happen to restrain women and men who experience, unhealthy relationships or in unhealthy domestic situations. And so that is, an initial step that we're taking. And of course, once we have the legislative frame, we're also looking to see how within the Department of Gender Affairs we build capacities so that we can improve programming and to see how we can work a lot more closely with the police and the Special Victims Unit, so that hopefully we can deliver some sensitivity training so that officers are a lot more equipped to be able to respond more sensitivity to cases of reports, as well as, looking at how we can develop some kind of broader education, public education around domestic violence in that campaign. So we definitely work closely with the Department of Gender in Nevis, and that's, a really strong relationship. I would have already had a meeting with my counterpart, Minister Hazel Brandy Williams, who's the Minister of Gender Affairs in Nevis, and her team as well. So, we are seeing how, I think together we make a stronger impact than, in silos, 2 islands. And so they do a lot of good things in Nevis, especially around education and campaigns. So we'll see how we can learn from each other and support each other. And of course, this is actually, this month we'll be celebrating the International Men's Day. And so, when it comes to gender affairs, I think a lot of times people think it's just about women, but men are vital to the conversation. They are vital, and so we need to recognize our upstanding men, encourage them to be more mentors to our boys, because if we're wanting to shift culture, then, like I said, we need to shift notions of what it means to be a man and what masculinity looks like, and eradicate these stereotypes that we would have grown up with from colonial slavery times. And so all of that is part of the conversation, and all of that is part of the thrust. And so, it's a lot, but, one step at a time.
Yes, indeed. One step at a time.
Well, Honorable Philip, thank you so much for joining us today. We enjoyed the conversation, and we're excited to see, where things go, and we're excited to hopefully have you on the show again soon.
Yes, indeed.
It's a pleasure. We will be back after this break.
What will it take to grab the attention of someone with the power to make your dream come true? 7 hopeful entrepreneurs in search of the finances necessary to take their ideas to the next level.
This is their lives, right? This is their business.
4 savvy business owners ready to make a pragmatic investment.
You can't help people if you can't help yourself. First, you make the dollar and you give the dollar.
Why you take your business offline?
I really feel that you need to do a little bit more research.
Very knowledgeable. Super knowledgeable.
You have a great idea and a great concept. I think you'd be snapped up by Disney.
If you have a job someplace, it means that if something is not working, you can walk away.
Who will invest?
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Thank you. And who will be sent home with nothing? I am your host, Kevin Hope.
Hi. If you are a smoker, please pay attention to this message. According to the World Health Organization, there are 1.3 billion smokers in the world today, and tobacco kills 1 out of every 2 smokers. Did you know that there is enough nicotine in 5 cigarettes to kill an average adult if ingested whole? There are more than 7,000 chemicals in tobacco smoke, of which more than 250 are known to be harmful. More than 69 are known to cause cancer, and 16 are classified as Group 1 carcinogens. Smoking kills. Are you ignoring that warning every time you smoke? Please stop. Smoking can lead to severe health complications and even death. It affects almost every organ in the body, especially the lungs and heart. It raises blood pressure, increases blood clots, and increases the risk of stroke, heart attack, and cancer. It is hard to quit smoking, but it is not impossible. Don't let tobacco destroy you. Remember the 4 Ds to curb your tobacco cravings. 1. Delay. Set a time limit before you decide to smoke. 2. Drink water. Go get a drink before you do anything else. 3. Do something else. Have a goodie bag handy of other things to do. And 4. Deep breathing. Take at least 10 deep breaths every time you think about smoking. Quit smoking and live a longer and happier life. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health, St. Kitts and Nevis.
Dreamy Decor specializes in flowers for all events, from birthdays to weddings and any other special occasion. What's a better way to express to the people you love than by providing the finest selection of beautiful flowers and gifts? So when you think of flowers, think of us, Dreamy Decor.
When growing your savings, where you save matters more than you think. Dare to compare and see for yourself why you should start saving and investing at First Federal Credit Union. You don't have to settle for cents. Let your money make sense. Reap a higher return by stashing your cash in a high-yield savings account or term deposit and earn up to 4% interest on your money. At First Federal, we say yes.
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
What will it take to grab the attention of someone with the power to make your dream come true? 7 hopeful entrepreneurs in search of the finances necessary to take their ideas to the next level.
This is their lives, right? This is their business.
4 savvy business owners ready to make a pragmatic investment.
You can't help people if you can't help yourself. First, you make the dollar and you give the dollar.
Why you take your business offline?
I really feel that you need to do a little bit more research.
Very knowledgeable. Super knowledgeable.
You have a great idea and a great concept. I think you'd be snapped up by Disney.
If you have a job someplace, it means that if something is not working, you can walk away.
Who will invest?
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Thank you. And who will be sent home with nothing? I am your host, Kevin Hope.
Yeah.
An exotic experience. I going out tonight. I got a hot date. He older than me, but I don't care. I like what he telling me. He say I look sweet and ting. What? You want me go home with him? Nice. Boy, I wonder if I'm ready for this. I notice he ain't got a condom, but I gonna go ahead, see? He might think me ain't like him or trust him. Plus, this my first time. Nothing gonna happen to me. Lord, how could I let this happen? I ain't ready for no child. Who can support me and my child? My man gone jail and mommy and daddy said they ain't gonna help. I all on my own. How could I be so careless? I wish I could go back to that now. But my education on hold. How could I let this happen? Don't let this happen to you. Contact the Department of Gender Affairs to find out about confidential offices and personnel available to answer questions about your sexuality or pre- or postnatal concerns.
This message was brought to you by Project Viola through the Department of Gender Affairs with support from the Basic Needs Trust Fund and the Caribbean Development Bank.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Richie right here at Studio 327. I'm here to give you the promo that you guys need because this is something special for St. Kitts. I'm telling you, tune in to Good Morning SKN, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and on Moment Channel 4. Also, I realize nobody else is doing this. Follow the Good Morning SKN Instagram at Good Morning SKN and the Studio 327 Inc. Instagram. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook. This is pretty long, but follow us and yeah.
Good morning, SKN, and welcome back. This morning we have Dr. Valda Henry here to discuss central banks and regulatory services worldwide face a persistent and significant gender gap in leadership. While men still outnumber women in financial institutions, the numbers are slowly improving as data shows the value women bring to teams. However, only 46% of employees in the finance sector are women, 15% of which hold executive positions. Why is this? Today, we're talking about breaking the glass ceiling, and as I mentioned before, we have Dr. Valda Henry with us to shed light on her journey to becoming the first female deputy governor with the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank and her lessons along the way. A native to the Commonwealth of Dominica, Dr. Henry brings a wealth of experience to her role with over 20 years of experience in the public, private, and financial sectors. Dr. Henry, welcome to Good Morning SKN, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Indeed, welcome.
Good morning, thank you, and it is indeed a pleasure to be here. And I say good morning to all our listeners and especially our listeners in our member states of the ECCU. Today is Antigua's independence celebrations anniversary, and I'm decked out in the Antigua and Barbuda national wear.
And you mentioned you have a national wear for all the OECS countries.
Yes, indeed, of our member states. And so on the September 19th, I was in full St. Kitts and Nevis regalia.
Fantastic.
And as I said to them, you know, some of you don't even have the full regalia. You all need to get it.
Soon.
And then on Thursday was St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 45th independence anniversary. I was also dressed in my St. Vincent outfit. And on today, I'm in Antigua. And on Thursday is my homeland's 44th independence anniversary. And you know, I will be in full regalia.
Very decked out.
We know that. We know that for sure.
Well, thank you so much again. Dr. Henry, I think one of the first things we'd like to talk about is women in the financial industry. And few women in the world can say they have the title of central bank governor in their name. Why do you think this is?
I think to some extent, before I answer that, let me kind of just say, at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, this is not the case. In the executive of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, there are 2 females and 1 male. So we represent 66% as females.
Nice, congrats.
In the heads of department, 70% are women. In the management team, it goes out to something like another 65%. So at ECCB, this is not the case. So women have broken the ceilings or continue to break the ceilings at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. If we look at some of the other central banks in our region, say in Barbados, we also had, I think she was the first female governor in Barbados and maybe for the Caribbean. And so that's happening. But I think sometimes while you have a lot of women in maybe banking, and even in central banking, sometimes women themselves do not aspire for those positions. They put other things as priorities. So they have families, they have the children, you know, and we see that. I mean, there are individuals who I've spoken to, women staff members, even at ECCB, and who say to you that these are the priorities. Then, of course, you also have maybe a little bit of bias. Earlier this year, I was at a seminar, and that was one of the discussions that women, even when you look at women in leadership at the central banks, even the kind of coverage that they get is so slightly different. And so they were actually looking at media clippings of stories. And so the media clippings, when it was a male governor or male deputy governor who had spoken, it got highlighted so much more than if it was a female governor or female deputy governor, because actually there are a number of female governors, even in Africa. Recently we were at the World Bank IMF meetings, and I met about 3 of and I was a bit surprised because I didn't even realize, I mean, that you had these female governors all over. Seychelles has a female, governor. So I think sometimes it's a little bias against women, but I think also sometimes it's women who choose for a variety of other reasons, to not pursue that career to get to the top. To get to the top. So that's part of the reason.
So, Ms. Henry, you are the first female in this position of a deputy governor in the Eastern Caribbean region. What does this tell you about the future of the banking industry?
Well, I have always said, and I guess it's maybe from my upbringing. My father always said to us that the only limitations we face were those we placed on ourselves. That we could be anything, go anywhere, and do anything that we wanted to do. So even when I saw that and everyone was saying, you know, for me it wasn't like a big deal in that sense, in the sense that I figured out if I wanted it, I could aspire for it. And I think me being the first female deputy governor at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank also signals to the world, but signal to women and young girls that nothing is out of your reach.
Nothing, indeed.
That if you conceive it, you can achieve it. But in order to achieve it, it's not just a wish.
You have to work for it, right?
You have to do the work to get there. And I think that is what it says. And what is the work to get there? As I always say to persons, it doesn't matter what is your field. You have to just put your best foot forward.
Indeed.
Always.
Always.
So there's no day where you can take a holiday and say, well, today I'm just not doing well. Because you know what? People forget the 99 good days you had.
Indeed.
And they remember that one day.
One day, yeah.
You know, and I noted that very early in my career. Because I was a teacher. I always say to people, that's my passion. That's my vocation, to teach.
Nice.
And every day, when I went to that classroom, I said, Val, before I left my home, I said, Val Henry, you have to be your best self.
Yes.
I like that.
Because these students are not going to remember the whole year of being great.
Yes.
They're going to remember the one day that you were not your best self.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I prepared every night my lesson plan.
Nice.
So in those days, I don't know if they still do it, you had this book and you had to prepare lesson plans and so forth and so on. And I made sure my lesson plans, I normally use my weekend to prepare my lesson plan for the week ahead. And then every night before, review this stuff.
Yes.
Make sure I've gone over my material I'm going to teach. And then make sure I know my students.
Yes.
Right.
So that you could cater to the needs of your students, because children have different needs. You know, they're not just all in a blanket.
Yes.
And to be an effective teacher, you have to know how to reach each child.
Indeed.
Right.
That's true.
So I kind of made that my goal, and I've just carried that throughout all of my life's journey.
Good
you know,
stuff.
wherever I found myself working.
Right.
You know.
Indeed.
And it sounds like impact is very important to you in all of the roles that you take on. So how have you been able to impact and drive a focus on inclusive policy design and practices within the bank, and certainly on a broader scale within the financial regulatory space?
I must say, and I have to commend Governor Antoine, Timothy N.G. Antoine, because as the deputy, you're not the leader. Right? There's only one leader. My role, as I see it, is to support the governor in the achieving of the goals and the vision of the ECCB. And what is our vision, in a nutshell? I love it, and I always say that is what brought me to ECCB. Our whole goal is the transformation of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, advancing the good of our people, where they not just strive, but they thrive.
Yes.
Right.
Because, you know, if we think of ourselves, there's a lot of striving in our region.
Yes.
People can hardly make $2 meet. At the end of the month, they are broke, and you can't really grow so much if you are worrying about how to feed your children, how to pay your rent, how to pay your mortgage. You cannot be your best self then.
You are correct.
It takes away from you. I always say there's no real independence if there's no financial independence. And so our job is to ensure our region thrive. And you ask, what's my role in doing that? One of the things I see is in terms of my staff, as I say to them always at ECCB, that transformation has to start with us.
Yeah.
We can't transform any region if we're not transforming how and what we do at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank.
Yes.
And I'm fortunate that I have been assigned the responsibility for change management and culture at the bank. And so one of my real jobs, the things that really gives me great pleasure is how do we? And so one of the things I've already done, and it has been approved, is our framework for change management and culture. Nice. Then we've started appointing our change champions. We have started, saying to them what it is, so that all our staff is on the same vision role of what it is we're going. So there's not lack of clarity. There has to be clarity on how we are going to do that transformation.
Yes.
And while, yes, there may be different styles to it, because you may choose it to do it differently,
Right.
but the goal is the same.
Yes.
And so that is part of what it is I'm doing in terms of our transformation of the ECCB and the impact. And then, of course, I've had the opportunities to engage with persons from, we did Gingerland Secondary School recently, and that was actually really very good engagement, but also with the private sector.
Of course.
With our LFIs, our banks, which is really the core of what makes central banking, because financial stability and economic development is one of our key mandates. And the regulation of the LFIs is critical in that the licensed financial institutions, many the banks and some of the other institutions, and the engagement at that level. Yes, so.
So you were a teacher.
Yeah.
You are into banking now, which is big job.
I wasn't actually banking before, because I was at ECCB prior
to being a teacher?
No, after being a teacher, I was a teacher first.
Yeah.
That's my first job.
ECCB?
No. Before I came to ECCB, I worked for the government of Dominica.
Okay.
I was the coordinator of the Administrative Reform Program.
Okay.
And that was a very challenging but very fulfilling job because, to transform that civil service isn't easy because, setways and so forth. But I was, able to work together with some of the team to get a lot of the reforms done.
Okay.
And I was kind of always heartened that years after I left the government of Dominica, and I was working at ECCB, and when we had got back on a mission after Hurricane Nui, I was part of the team assessing the damage done throughout the region that the former Prime Minister, Dame Eugenia Charles, said to me then, because, we had like a kind of rocky relationship then during my time, but said to me then that she admired me.
That's sweet.
And I was like, And she said, yes, I admired you for your gumption, She said, because she would say sometimes no to some things. And if I really felt that no was not a justified no, I would persist until that no became a yes.
Okay, good
stuff. And so she said, so that's what, she never said that in my tenure. But years later, she said that was one of the things that she admired about me, my gumption. And that is true. I really don't just take a no for that. You know? And then after I left there, I worked for a little bit in the Ministry of Trade, and then I left to go to UWI to teach. So I taught at UWI.
Oh, okay.
Even prior to teaching at UWI, while I was doing my PhD, I taught at the University of Warwick and the University of Coventry.
Okay.
And then after that, I came to ECCB after I left UWI. And I was a senior investment officer, investing the reserves of our region to ensure that our financial backing and our backing ratio remains strong and stable. And when I left that, I went to do my PhD, and then I came back and I went into consulting.
Yeah, I see HR.
And I was first with my sister's firm, and then in 2015, I branched out on my own.
Okay, nice.
And I led VFing for 15 years before I came back to ECCB as the deputy governor. So I've been like around.
You've been around.
It has been quite the journey, and it certainly is inspiring for many individuals, both male and female, that would like to step into a position like yours. And Dr. Henry, thank you so much for coming here and speaking with us. It's been great having you.
Indeed.
Thank you so much.
Come again sometime.
Yes.
I enjoyed the conversation.
Well, you can, whenever you invite me, I will make sure I come.
Certainly. We'll be back after this break.
As a hypertensive patient, in my home, I reduce salt intake by not adding salt during the preparation of my food, not having a salt shaker on my table, limiting the consumption of salty snacks, and choosing products with low sodium content. That's why I am Salt Smart.
Children, how can you tell a tsunami coming?
Teacher me.
Sammy?
My mother said when uncle jump in the pool and the water spoosh out, that's how you tell a tsunami coming.
Settle down, children, settle down. Do you remember our tsunami song?
Yes!
Mommy, Uncle not here and the other shake. Hush your mouth. Daddy, Uncle not here and the sea gone.
Who cares? You don't see all them free fish? Quick, give me the bag.
This is how you tell a tsunami a come. Teacher says so. I would have failed in school, you know.
Sammy, come, let me go. They would have failed anyhow. Let me run, see, Sammy?
foods like bananas, potatoes, and dried peas and beans, such as lentils and kidney beans, contains potassium, which helps to reduce salt in the body.
Yeah.
An exotic experience.
Today is the first day of November. As I mentioned before, I'm wearing my turkey roach. I'm wearing the November colors. Yes, yes, yes. And it is only fitting to welcome this new month on a positive note. Yes. So for this segment, Karina and I will be discussing how we can work on our happiness. So Karina, have you ever tried new ways and techniques to add more happiness to your life?
Yes, I have. So I really love those self-help books. Now this sounds a little cheesy, but I love these self-help books. And there's this one book that's called 100 Days of Happiness. And it actually gives you cues on little things to do every day. So for example, pick a flower. Just little things that are attainable. So those are some of the things that I do. What about you?
Let me tell you, what do I do? I tried right now tracking my time.
Yes.
That's a big oopsie for me now. Like I can't get my time managed the way I got it managed before. No matter how I prepare, something always happens. So I'm trying, and that stressed me out. So I'm trying to manage my stress level. So as I told you yesterday, I began exercising again. Because when I exercise, I don't really feel that bad about life. So yeah.
Right.
So that's one of my things that I do to manage my happiness in life.
Right. I also feel like post-COVID, there's this time, obviously, for those last 2 years kind of went, and then it's really had to get back into actually like managing your time, and you're like, okay, 2 years passed, but where are we now? Like, how do I actually like feel like it was before then?
Exactly.
Let's see what else. What about random acts of kindness?
I do that ever so often. I like that. I like to see people smile. And I like to warm people's hearts. So ever so often, I'll do something nice for someone.
Right.
Yeah.
Grab
What about you?
Pay for a cup. I try to pay for, a lunch or a breakfast for somebody. Like some of the ladies that I work with, I'll bring them this fish soup that they love, and I'll be like, okay, yeah, today's fish soup Friday. So little things like that, just to make someone's day.
Yeah. Indeed, indeed. What about spending time in nature?
Yes, I try to. I feel like being in St. Kitts, you're already so exposed to nature, so much more than you would anywhere else, which is a good thing, right?
Yes.
Because you wake up and you're like, great, there's a mountain, right? As opposed to sometimes you're in a place like New York City and it's like, there's a building. So
great job.
Yeah, you get to wake up and you kind of get to be a part of it every day, but I try. What about you?
Well, my ultimate goal is to hike up to the volcano. That I've never done. I've done all the other hikes, the Duda Ponds, etc., etc. I've hiked the entire Antigua when I was living there for the 12 years. I've been to all 365 of the beaches, some of which were accessible by boat because our hiking group normally did trips with the boat, so we got to access the beaches. But I love nature.
Yeah.
I'm an outside person, so
yeah.
I love it. I love when the rain falls. I love when outside is a little, the kind of, I love that.
Yeah.
I don't like when it's hot though. Jeez.
Yeah, it's been really hot these last few months too, which is like.
But you would think this is the month for the cool down.
I know. I remember last December I would be outside with a blanket and a sweater on, and my you know, my sister was like, why it when St.
But
Kitts.
it's been cold.
You know how it is.
It has been cold. Yeah, it has been cold.
So one of the things that I've been trying to do is give out compliments, right? Just because when you receive compliments, it can always be so awkward because you're like, oh, you know, thank you so much. But I think giving out compliments makes it easier to receive them. So that's one thing I've been trying to do. What about you?
I think here, I don't know. I think most of us, when we get a compliment in the Caribbean, it's like, oh, you notice?
Right.
Because it's not something that we're accustomed to. In the outer world, you get people passing and telling you all these things.
Yes.
So I guess it's something that we're getting accustomed to. So of course, I would always give compliments. That's my thing. And if I receive them, I say thank you. At first, I was a bit apprehensive because I was like, but you? Yeah, but I've gotten better at that.
Yeah.
I've gotten better at that. What about spending time with your family and close friends?
That is the one thing I think that I actually am able to do and complete out of anything else. So every single Sunday, I think I mentioned this yesterday, every Sunday, my family and I, we barbecue and, you know, we just hang out and chat and stuff. And that's just a random Sunday tradition that we started that we just kind of continue to do. So if everything else, I think that's the one thing that I'm actually able to do.
Okay. The phones at your gathering, are they phones or is everybody off their phone engaging with each other?
That is a really good question. You know, I've never paid attention to that.
So now I'm going to make you pay attention.
I know. Now next Sunday, I'm going to be like, who is on their phone? Let's figure it out. We'll get the phone basket and try to everybody put them in there.
When we go by a particular elder friend of ours, she ensured everybody puts away their phone and she said this is socializing time, which is correct. Even when I flew with had this particular captain, he says, nobody brings their phone to the table. If you're going to come to dinner, you're coming to dinner for us to engage in conversation and not the phones. Because quite a bit for the past 2 years, we had to be connecting via the phones and all the different medias. But now that we get the opportunity to be together once more in some form, I just think we should put the phones down and like spend quality time with each other.
I agree. That would be a good thing to implement for any Christmas dinners.
So for your Christmas dinner that you were anticipating, bring out the basket.
No phones. We are on a no phone policy.
Bring out the basket.
I think one of the things that bring happiness is obviously smiling.
Yes.
And I think we're really fortunate where in this role right now that we're in, there's so much smiling. You get to meet with so many different people and, you know, they're amazing coworkers that you get to actually just have a laugh with beyond sitting here at the studio and you know, showing up on TV every day. So if anything today, both you and I achieved one thing, which is smiling.
So we ensured that we were, and these are genuine smiles.
Genuine
these are not
smiles.
smiles.
We like laughing.
Yeah, so we are going to smile more. And what about sleeping?
Girl, I love my bed. I love
Sometimes
my
I
bed.
go home from work and the first thing I do is plunge into my bed.
Correct.
That's it. I sleep for like 2 hours and then I'm back to the world again.
Yep.
Rejuvenated and ready.
One of the things that makes it really easy for me to sleep and like spend time lying in my bed or sleeping in and of itself is the fact that my dog, the one that was on this show, by the way, she is a Velcro dog. So like she's one of those dogs that will not leave your side, which means that if I get on my bed and I'm just lying there, she's going to argue to come up there and lie down with me. And then obviously because she's a dog and they sleep 16 hours a day, I must take a nap for at least 2 of those 16 hours with her.
Dogs,
they do. Happy dogs sleep 16 hours a day.
Oh, happy dogs. So
Yes.
this disgruntled one stay up and bark at everything that passed away.
Yes, correct.
I never realized happy dogs.
If you wake up at 3 in the morning to a barking dog, they're vexed.
I wonder why, because I didn't get any sleep. Oh, man. What about boosting self-esteem? How can one boost their self-esteem in order to be happy? Because, you know, once your self-esteem is low, you're rarely happy.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. And I think it's so important to be able to reflect on that because when we think about happiness, we think about it from a very external point of view. So it's very extrinsic, which is a lot of what we actually just talked about.
Yes.
But I think in terms of happiness, there's that internal and intrinsic component where you really have to actually sometimes do that work to make yourself feel good. My mom always tells me, and my granny who's 92, she's always like, you will never be able to love somebody unless you love yourself. And love somebody could even mean friendships.
Yeah,
it can always mean,
doesn't have to be a relationship.
work, relationships, things like that. And so I always use that as an affirmation sometimes to remind myself, like, okay, nobody in the world is perfect, but every day you can find a reason to fall in love with yourself, much like you could find a reason to fall in love with somebody else.
Exactly. As they say, when you love yourself, it shows in your relationship.
Exactly.
You're able to give love. What about mindfulness?
I'm so bad at mindfulness. Oh my, I have the worst ADHD. I really do. I swear.
I think busy people, we all do, because we're thinking about doing the next thing.
Yes.
And sometimes I do so many things that I do not complete the first thing that I actually started.
Yes. But, mindfulness, and you talk about being loving being in nature and stuff like that. Things like that actually are able to promote mindfulness in a really valuable way without you actually trying to be mindful.
Yes.
What about you? I'm really bad at it. So.
Well, I try. Like, if I almost cut my finger off and be like, oh my gosh, thanks, universe, I didn't do that.
Right.
So I'm very mindful. Or I think about seeing a hole and falling in the hole. So I'm mindful of my surroundings.
Right.
I'm mindful of maybe ironing and the iron missing my clothes and putting on my hands. So like I'm processing these things even before they happen. So my mindfulness is on fleek, I would say.
Yeah. It's the art of being present, right?
Yeah, indeed. So I'm present, like I'm not gonna do this or I'm not gonna do that. But it's like I try to say, God, I'm gonna try to prevent this even before it happens.
Correct. Yeah. Well, this was a good exercise.
It was indeed, and I hope GMSK Nation link us in the comment and let us know what you do to keep the happiness in your life. Yep.
There we go.
Yep. So much more after the break. Stay tuned.
You see that new boy that just joined the school last week?
Yeah.
An exotic experience.
You see that new boy that just joined the school last week? He brought me a chocolate this morning because I showed him the way home from school yesterday.
You like him?
No, he's just my friend. Plus, he is my neighbor. He asked me if we can walk home together for lunch tomorrow, and I told him yes.
I don't like these big boys. They tend to like to touch girls without your consent.
What do you mean by consent?
It's when one person agrees to give permission to another person to do something.
He is cute though.
Guys, you won't believe what happened the other day with the new boy from school.
What happened?
The other day, while walking home with the new guy, he followed me into my house. I thought it was okay because he seemed friendly and respectful. So I turned on the TV and offered him a soda. We sat in the chair together. Then he leaned over and kissed me. I was so shocked, I sat up straight and asked him why he did that. He said he thought I liked him. I told him not in that way.
What? Girl, you should have never allowed him inside your parents' home.
My parents will be very angry if they meet any boys in our home plus kissing me.
Guys, we don't need to be burdened down with teen pregnancy and relationship problems at this time. Boys need to understand that girls are not sex objects.
Remember, you have the right to consent to every activity being performed, from holding hands to anything more, and to change your mind at any time. If your partner does not respect your wishes, this also is a form of abuse. If you, your friend or family member is being abused, you can contact one of the numbers listed below for help. Department of Gender Affairs 662-5492. Special Victims Unit 662-7077. Counseling Unit 465-5000. This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and the Pan American Health Organization.
Good morning, SKN, and welcome back. It is game time. We will be playing a GM SKN favorite, and that game is Chain Reaction. Hortensia and I will work together to form chains composed of 2 phrases while betting either 50, 100, or 200 points. Hortensia, are you ready?
I am. Let's do this.
Let's play.
Do this. GMSK Nation, I wanted to be competitive and say, let's put up the points board, but I got a resounding no from every studio member that you could not see.
Boo!
Even my calls is going. But don't worry, soon enough, soon enough.
Okay,
You can start, Karina.
let's see. I'm going to place a wager for 50 because right off the bat, I do not know. I'm going to go with the
On the permanent or above credit?
The permanent.
Okay, so on the...
Permanent place.
No. Okay, I'm going to go 50 and I'm going to go on the permanent price. Jeez, but I got a letter though. Our money is going down.
50. Permanent press.
Good.
Nice.
Permanent press. 50 above credit. Store credit. Sad. Store credit. Ooh. Okay, store credit. Okay.
Okay.
I said sad credit.
Okay. Let's do a 50 points. Oh, permanent press. I'm going to go with the one above store, G. Good.
Nice. Actually sounds good.
Oh, man.
Lord. What kind of store credit?
Gets.
You think? Oh, Lord. Okay, I'm going to try 50 above store. I'm going to go with my co-host. She said gets. Oh my gosh, if you see the faces. Oh, I know.
I'm going to go with 50, and we're going to put general. Yes.
Wait, okay. Ooh. Press steel. Steel? No, it can't be press steel.
No. Steel.
Okay. You go ahead. Take
Okay. We're going to wager 50 again. Now, this doesn't make sense, but I'm going to put steel. S-T-E-A-L. Okay.
Oh. Press steel. That's what?
Send.
Do you want us to wager 100?
We're going to wager 100 and put send.
Ooh. that wasn't
man.
What was it?
What? Does anyone know what it was?
What was it? I wanted to say seal, but it couldn't be a seal general. It couldn't be a seal general.
Either way, I don't know if that one made too much sense to me.
Oh, yeah, because I was trying to put it together. We got, I can't even remember.
Permanent press.
Silk? I don't...
Secretary!
So permanent secretary, general. Oh.
Oh, okay.
Next time.
Yeah, we got it next time. That's
We got one more? GMSK Nation, how did you do on that one? Let us know in the comments. You know we always want to include you in every single thing that we do here at Good Morning SKN. So here's our second chain. Play along. 100 on the human. Nature.
Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna do 50. And
where are you gonna put it? Yeah, look.
Above measure, we're gonna put tape.
We should have wagered.
Nice.
We should have wagered more. Now this is how the dream work goes. Teamwork.
Okay.
.com. Yes.
Let's see.
I'm gonna wager 100 on the nature trail.
Yep.
Woo! We got that. We're rich. We rich. We need our monies after this, please. We thank you. Ooh. Not sure. Try.
Okay, we're gonna wager 50. Masking. Yes. Oh, man.
Okay, at least we did 50. 200. Trail mix.
Okay.
We need our monies. Woo. We need our $600. I know we got this. Looking at us like, we got this, we got this, we got this.
Okay. We're gonna wager 200 right now. Let's go.
Where are we putting it?
Right under banana. Peel.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go 50 on the peel. I think I want to do 100. Can I change? No? Orange.
Yeah.
Lord.
Okay. Above booth. I want to say 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do 100. Tall.
Ooh la la. Maybe you should have done 200. We would have been rich. No? What?
Okay.
Time boot?
Time?
I'm gonna go. I want to do 100 on the peel and say off.
Love it.
All right.
Off. And off would be
off skin. Banana peel off skin. Nice, all right? Skin time.
Okay. Under off, we're gonna wager 100.
You sure?
Let's
gamble. We're not getting the money.
Okay, we're gonna go 100. And we're gonna put skin.
Skin, yes. Skin is in our beautiful skins around these parts.
Oh my.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay.
Rob GMSK Nation, how are you coming along? Do you have the answer? Send it in the comments.
Yes.
We will see.
We want to see those answers in the comments.
Indeed.
Banana peel off. Send. Search.
50. Which one? Search.
Let's just.
Banana peel off.
Seam.
What's
C-A-L.
That's rough. Ah, Lord. Time boot? Is it time boot? What kind of boot again?
Okay, above booth. And then just try 50 points.
Don't want to be too broke.
Time. Oh, man.
What kind of boot is that? Thick?
Tickle? Tickle.
Thick boot? 50? Thick?
Tickets.
Oh!
Kala!
Ticket boot. Thank you, Carla S. Williams.
Yes, Kala.
So it's banana peel off sea ticket boot? Or that's it?
Oh, we have to finish that one.
Oh.
Carla, we are banking on you. Come through.
So banana peel off.
Search.
No, season.
Oh, yes.
Season. 200. Give us our money. Season ticket boot.
A virtual high five for you, Carla. A real high five for you, Hortensia.
We did well. We did well. We did well. Thank you for playing along. We appreciate you playing with us. Much more after this break. Stay tuned.
For dinner. Let me just check the amount of sodium in this can. Oh no, this is too much. Let me try our next option. They did say it's healthy to consume less salt. This is much better. I am salt smart.
Good morning, SKN. This is Lyrical. I just want to say blessings to you. There are a happy place in the life if you live in there. A happy place in the life if you live in there. Cause them at a happy place in the life. And they can't change. And they just come out here to do right. So whether day or night, they will never ever change. Blessings, blessings, and blessings.
It's been 6 months now and Glenn hasn't been working. His attitude has completely changed and he's been leaving the house every day for hours and liming with his friends and coming home drunk and causing confusion.
Gloria, this is what you cooked today? This is not enough food for a big man like me.
But Glenn, it's been 6 months now. You haven't given me any money to shop for food.
Okay, so what you want me to do if my boss ain't call me out for work as yet?
Look for a different job now.
What you just said to me?
Get a next job.
What?
Help! Let me
Let
go!
go what? Yeah, let's see what we at me. Let go what? Watch your mouth with me now.
The weekend mom and dad fight. When are they going to stop?
Domestic violence is not just physical, it's mental, emotional, economical, and psychological. If you, your friend or family member is being abused, you can contact one of the numbers listed below for help. Department of Gender Affairs 662-5492, Special Victims Unit 662-7077, Counseling Unit 465-5000. This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and the Pan American Health Organization.
In our previous segment, we played an online game, but in this segment, we'll take it back to a time when physical objects were our primary source of entertainment. So Karina and I will be hopping into the GMSKN time machine and traveling to discuss some of the most popular toys from the 80s and 90s. Would you say you played with a lot of toys when you were a child, GMSKN Nation? And Karina, did you play with a lot of toys?
I definitely did. We want to hear in the comments from you, though, GMSKN, if you did.
Yes, yes. Please let us know. We sure played with a lot of toys. We didn't have the privilege. We had Game Boys eventually.
Yes.
But we didn't have tablets.
Right.
So we played a lot outside, and then we pretend with our toys and the upstairs and downstairs house, the little pools. I had the stiff dollies. Like I was telling you, I had a dolly with the tracksuit and the roller
skates. Yep.
Yeah, and you were saying you had a baby.
I had a baby born, and you fed it like some kind of weird material that you mix with water, and it defecated into a little pink plastic basin.
It pooped.
It pooped.
Because the baby alive actually lets the water out, right?
Yeah. Those ones are fancy now.
Yeah,
like
I know.
It's got the disappearing liquid in the bottle and all of that stuff.
Just like how the Barbie knees actually bend now. Our Barbies were stiff, remember?
Stiff. Couldn't sit down.
Nothing.
Couldn't swim. She's like, I'm taking a nap.
Exactly. Upright. Yep. But with times, things change. So we're going to talk about the toys that we remember.
Let's do it.
Let's do this. Indeed. Oh, we spoke about
Nintendo 64?
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
Even when I was in high school, my friends and I used to have like little Nintendo 64 competitions and stuff. Just because, what else were we doing in high school?
Exactly. And have you ever blown on the cartridge when it wouldn't work properly?
Had to. That's the only way. That is the only way.
I know, there was a magic way to put it to work and put it back into the host.
Yes, into the host.
Into the host, yeah. But that was our summer games when we visited the BVI with our cousins. We played until the wee hours of the morning. Then we slept until the wee hours of the afternoon to wake up again, to repeat it again. So we had Game Boy sessions. We had parties in the night because Shabba Ranks was our dancer.
Yep.
Music we danced to back then. But
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So we remember the Nintendo 64. So GMSK Nation, if you remember the Nintendo 64, remember to leave us in the comments. Yes.
Let's see what's next. Beanie Babies. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
If I was not a big Beanie Baby person because I have horrible allergies, and having a Beanie Baby, in my opinion, is like having a dog. They just collect everything. But my mom and my sister, I would call them certified Beanie Baby hoarders.
Oh, so they have Beanie Babies?
Oh, listen, we had garbage bags of them.
Wow. No, I threw them around. I have a confession, guys. Every time there's a new bear in my house, when I was younger, I had to box it. I don't know, just to indoctrinate it into the house, and my sisters would hide the bear, literally box the bear. Yeah, like box the bear. I don't know what habit that was.
Some real bear violence.
Sorry. But my sisters would literally, if they get a new teddy bear, they hide it because they knew. I just have to box all the bears. I don't know why is it I had to box bears.
Did you know, though, that a lot of the Beanie Babies, like the brand Beanie Babies, are collector's items?
Yeah.
So if you have them from like a certain year or a certain edition, you can sell them on eBay for like hundreds of dollars. It's insane.
Yeah.
There's a whole Beanie Baby underworld of like
underwear.
Seriously, on eBay, and people just sell them and collect thousands of dollars. Very impressive.
Yeah, Beanie Baby hoarders, as we said earlier.
Exactly.
But I remember those. You throw them, you kick them, they were fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bop It.
Bop It. Yeah, I remember Bop It. I remember seeing the commercial. Did I touch it? I think my cousins had that in BVI too. Bop It. You had to do all these things in one, like confusing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Bop it.
Twist
pull it. Squeeze it. Twist it.
Yeah, I remember that commercial.
It always got me
Yeah.
very frustrated. So if you remember it, leave a comment, because it cannot just be me that got very irritated.
Yeah, exactly. And then when it gets faster, it's asking you to do too much.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, the Bop It.
Bop It was. Bop It.
These things scared me.
You remember when their hair got whacked or we cut their hair? Because their hair get knocked.
Yes.
20 knots.
Yep, and you would brush it all off. Sometimes I used to want to be a hairdresser when I was younger, so I would pretend like, the little troll dolls were at the salon. And because they have this just really stringy, disgusting hair, I would put conditioner in it and try to make it look nice. It never ended up looking good at all.
I don't know, something about shampoo and conditioner. It made it break off, you realize?
It did.
Yeah.
So they were bald.
They never messed with the troll dolls. Never ever messed with the troll dolls, no. And most of our dolls too, their hair got knotted up.
Right, like the babbies and stuff.
We were just bad to those things.
I know.
And then we try to cut it to give it a style, and then the doll hair just stick off, and then eventually you just see the doll hair coming out of the roots.
Exactly.
So the doll end up, like when babies are born and they sleep on the back of the head.
Right. Poor dolls. They needed hair transplants at the end of the day after they were done with us.
But I can't get over the... Ooh, you remember?
These were my favorite. I love Cabbage Patch Kids, and I would always want... They ended up making in the late 90s a waterproof Cabbage Patch Kid. So you could actually bathe with it.
Yeah.
And it spoot water out of its mouth like a mermaid.
Sweet. I remember
Love some Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yeah, they had the cutest dimples. And I always wonder why they gave them the clock bodies though.
Yeah, that was a little,
Yeah.
like I said, I liked it when they went into the direction of the waterproof ones. Just made more sense.
Yeah, the clock bodies, sometimes they get dirty, you have to throw them in the water.
Right.
Yeah, man.
And we were outside kids then, so you're dragging them in the mud.
Exactly everywhere.
Right?
Look at that. She's cute. Hi, Cabbage.
Hello.
She looks like...
Imagine waking up to that now.
No. At least we had fun. Ooh. Push. I remember the advert. Did I have one? No. Isn't that like a stress rubber ball as well?
Yeah, it has to. It has to be one of those things where you hold that one, one of the strings off of it, and it'll go all the way down.
Like a yo-yo.
Like a yo-yo, but not really yo-yo, as it just was super stretchy and whatever. I don't personally remember having one.
Me neither.
But if
Honestly,
you did,
don't have one.
let us know.
Let us know. Yep. It looks cushy.
Yeah, it looks cushy.
Ooh.
Game Boy.
Game Boy.
Listen, if you don't remember Game Boy, you have not lived.
Exactly. And the gray one, we played Tetris. The favorite game of every Game Boy. Tetris.
Yes. Tetris started it all, and then phone companies like Nokia really had to take it away from the Game Boy and put it on their phone. So.
Yeah. Jamie, I was telling last week about the snake. You remember the snake on the Nokia?
Of course.
The one game with the snake going run around trying to eat a ball? Why did the games back then were lame on the phone, boy?
You know what the things I would do to have back a Nokia so I could play Snake? If anybody watching this has a Nokia with Snake on it, please let me know.
She wants it. Those phones were heavy. Those phones fell. They came apart. You put them back together and they worked very well.
Brand new. Good as new. I love that.
No problem. But the tinner they got, the more frisbee. Normal.
Yeah, that's like people still play it.
Yeah, and we even took our plates and plastic plates and have frisbee.
Right. Decorated a little bit.
From
correct.
Buckets.
Yes.
Frisbee.
Yes. The country crock covers, when they had those big buckets of country crock. That was the perfect one.
And it sailed very well through the air.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hula hoops. I used to love me some hula hoop.
Okay.
I used to have hula hoop competitions with my sister in the kitchen. And I don't know why my mom would sit there for hours and watch us, but we thought we were the coolest girls because we knew how to hula hoop.
And you guys had the different tricks.
Oh yeah, we would be like, you kind of worm down and you come back up.
At least mom engaged you guys.
Exactly.
So that's very good. Yeah. But I think the kids, I don't think I've engaged in it. Funny enough, the other day while I think I was sitting down and I thought about that. It's funny enough, as I said, the universe works weird. Hula hoop showed up today.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
But no, I didn't have the experience that Karina had with hula hoop.
I loved this growing up.
This is like the 3D before 3D
actually happened, right? This was virtual reality before virtual reality.
To have one of that, you will consider the it kid.
Coolest kid on the block. That and Clip-Its.
Yeah, boy.
You remember Clip-Its?
No.
The music MP3 thing. It kind of came out in the era of this, but this?
No, I just remember
Yep.
this.
That's our virtual reality.
Yeah, boy. Because it's like push out and you just keep clicking and everybody thought it was you had
Right.
that, you were the it kid.
Right.
2,000 kids, y'all don't know what we're talking about.
Exactly. Well, that was an exciting journey into memory lane.
Look at that.
The water guns.
Yeah, we had the water guns.
Oh yeah, everybody has. Those are like par for the course now.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for playing with us. Cortensia, I like that we both had the same toys.
Yes, indeed.
We'll be back after this break.
When growing your savings, where you save matters more than you think. Dare to compare and see for yourself why you should start saving and investing at First Federal Credit Union. You don't have to settle for cents. Let your money make sense. Reap a higher return by stashing your cash in a high-yield savings account or term deposit and earn up to 4% interest on your money. At First Federal, we say yes.
Has anyone ever touched you here, or here? Well, these are actually bad touches, not good ones. And so, if anyone ever touches you in these areas or anywhere else that makes you uncomfortable, you must say no, then go and tell. Say it with me. Say no, then go and tell.
This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with Probation and Child Protection Services, the Ministry of Health, and the Pan American Health Organization.
Yo, this is your boy Smiley of the Grandmasters Band, and you're watching GMSKN. Hey, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just make sure you're watching GMSKN. What up?
Hi, if you are a smoker, please pay attention to this message. According to the World Health Organization, there are 1.3 billion smokers in the world today, and tobacco kills 1 out of every 2 smokers. Did you know that there is enough nicotine in 5 cigarettes to kill an average adult if ingested whole? There are more than 7,000 chemicals in tobacco smoke, of which more than 250 are known to be harmful. More than 69 are known to cause cancer, and 16 are classified as Group 1 carcinogens. Smoking kills. Are you ignoring that warning every time you smoke? Please stop. Smoking can lead to severe health complications and even death. It affects almost every organ in the body, especially the lungs and heart. It raises blood pressure, increases blood clots, and increases the risk of stroke, heart attack, and cancer. It is hard to quit smoking, but it is not impossible. Don't let tobacco destroy you. Remember the 4 Ds to curb your tobacco cravings. 1. Delay. Set a time limit before you decide to smoke. 2. Drink water. Go get a drink before you do anything else. 3. Do something else. Have a goodie bag handy of other things to do. And 4. Deep breathing. Take at least 10 deep breaths every time you think about smoking. Quit smoking and live a longer and happier life. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health, St. Kitts and Nevis.
Good morning, SKN, and welcome back. It's time for us to let you know what's happening. ¿Qué pasa? The first discussion point is the Nevis Triathlon. If you love a challenge, the Nevis Multi-Sport Committee has just the event for you. It's the 20th edition of the Nevis Triathlon. The event takes place on November 5th, this Saturday, starting at 7 a.m. at the Awali Beach in Nevis. There are two distances, so Try is for beginners and children, and it costs $175 to register. Nevis 37 is for seasoned triathletes, and those seeking a bigger challenge and costs $175 for individuals and $270 to register a team. All registrants receive a race t-shirt and a finish medal upon crossing the finish line. The top 3 finishers in each category receive unique Nevis-made stone trophies. That sounds like a challenge.
That sounds like a challenge. So I think wasn't the try and the season triathlon the same price?
Yes.
So then I would just go season myself if I have to take a few days after, you know.
Correct.
Take a few days after. Because the try, as he said, we spoke to him, Mr. Phillip. He said it's for persons who are not seasoned triathlon athletes.
Got it. So the Nevis 37 is the one where you really have to.
The ones with the buff, the ones that can buy. I can swim, but when I get to the middle of the sea where my feet can't touch, unless I have on a life jacket, I'm not confident because I figured that's not my domain. There, those chompers in there, and I don't. No,
I'm more afraid of sea urchins than I think I am of sharks themselves. Yes.
But sea urchins, we can get over. Sharks, we can't. We're going to lose something.
Correct.
Urchins, we can get a little of that liquid, the whatever color it comes, you know, throw it on it, and we're fine. But with the shark, we can't throw anything on anything and get back anything. So yeah,
you have the caller has a point.
But would you ever do a triathlon though?
I think if I really put myself to it, I would. Maybe I'll put that on my bucket list of things to do. What about you?
I would, but I would do the hard one. I wouldn't do the try. But in the middle of swimming, somebody has to come pick me up.
She says no to that.
So there will be an island bike ride. It's Youth Month 2022, and the Department of Youth Empowerment has a whole month of events. Coming up this weekend is the Bring Your Own Bike Island Bike Ride on Sunday. So you got to bring your own bike to ride a bike. November the 6th, starting at 6 a.m. So early in the morning. Registration fee is a mere $20, and persons can register at any primary or high school in St. Kitts, as well as the Clarence Fitzroy Bryan College at the Department of Youth. The island bike ride starts at the airport roundabout, travels around the island, via Keon, and concludes at Warner Park. So you're not really going far. You're not taking the whole island trip. So for further information, contact 662-6054 or 467-1393. So co-host, you have been on, this is your second day?
It's my second day.
How are you feeling?
I feel, you know what? I feel accomplished.
Good stuff.
I have never hosted a show.
And you did an excellent job.
Yes, and viewers, please let me know if I've done a good job as well.
Yes, we can whisper that one.
If you counted all my ad libs and made a highlight reel out of it.
Oh man, I think somebody might be able to make a reel.
If they did that, I would love to see it.
So a certain person, MB, you're tasked with that.
Correct. Anyways, guys, tune in daily where you will find a little bit of everything for everyone. Thank you for joining us. Get your friends and family to watch, and remember to follow us on our social media platforms, including Facebook and YouTube at Studio 327 Inc. and Instagram at Good Morning SKN. Remember to like, subscribe, follow, and share. And also check out our website at studio327inc.com to learn more about GMSKN and Studio 327.
And this is where we always say, leave us a comment and let us know what was your favorite part of today's show. And as we say, Jamie, continue to get well. Hopefully we see you soon.
Yes.
But GMSKN Nation, we'll see you tomorrow on Whiskermas Wednesdays at 8 a.m. when you will start your morning with us right here at Good Morning SKN. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Thank you for watching. See you in tomorrow.
Have a good day.
A great one. And great job, Karina.
Thank you for having me, everybody.